MOvember, day 25, and for tonight's video, I just wanted to go through some resources for healthy sexuality and recovery. I work as a certified sex addiction therapist, and part of that work is helping people establish recovery. And that can really be difficult and can take some time to identify what sort of compulsive sexual behaviors are causing trouble, to identify if they've caused trouble in an established relationship, or if you're a single person, how to have a sober dating plan moving forward. So tonight I want to focus on 4 resources by 2 authors. And the first one is by Alexandra Katehakis, and it's Erotic Intelligence. Now, it's got a great subtitle, Igniting Hot Healthy Sex While in Recovery from Sex Addiction. Unlike alcoholism or gambling, where you might have a complete abstinence as a result of establishing that you have an addiction, sexuality, like food, is something, of course, and work that we need to be doing in a healthier and different way. So a lot of the resources are geared up at helping identify, assess, and start a recovery plan. There's not a hell of a lot written around what do you do once you're there. So whether you're in a committed relationship and that's trying to now recover from betrayal, or you're a single person trying to reestablish yourself in a healthier way, then this literature is is something that can really assist that program. And it's also very sensitive to the treatment sort of recovery program that you're in. So the back of the book simply says, enjoyable, exciting sex is possible after sex addiction. On the journey of sexual sobriety, many sex addicts find themselves wondering, how am I going to have a normal relationship? Or will it be possible to repair my marriage now that I've confessed my destructive behavior? And will I ever have great sex again? As a sex, marriage and family therapist, Alexandra Katehakis introduces a successful program for sufferers and their loved ones that will help them hone their erotic intelligence by making sense of the past, by creating healthy habits in the present, and looking forward toward a more intimate relationship that nurtures honesty and closeness. With Katehakis' help, sex addicts can get in touch with their healthy sexual side and embrace true intimacy and acceptance in themselves and their mates. So this book is one that you can get in all the formats, and audio. It's an audio book and Kindle, hard copy, obviously, and I can't recommend it more highly. I think if you're in recovery and you've established sobriety and you have done a full disclosure, this book has to be in your bookshelf, because it's going to help you to honor your recovery and move forward and have healthy sexuality. Now, her most recent book that she's written around this subject is Sexual Reflections, a workbook designing your a workbook designing and celebrating your sexual health plan. So this starts to get into a really concrete and wonderful exploration of your own sexuality. It's a book that's very interactive, and it's a workbook. It's going to be something that you really get a somatic understanding, a full-bodied left brain, right brain understanding of your own sexuality. In this, she says, congratulations on making it to this point in your recovery. Sexual addiction is a syndrome that manifests in destructive, often painful sexual behaviors. It's born of a severe distress in early childhood due to neglect or emotional, physical, or sexual abuse. This early abuse injures the growing human attachment system, our main source of emotional support and resilience, and makes it go haywire in search of some external substance or act like sex for comfort. As you well know, stopping problematic sexual behavior is no easy feat, but once you've done it, life starts to feel totally different. As actual choices about where, when, how, and with whom you have sex become available again, and for some, for the first time. And even if you don't identify as a sex addict but have engaged in problematic sexual behaviors such as an affair or excessive internet pornography viewing, this workbook is designed to help you create a sexual health plan that reflects how you want to design your sex life. You will be guided by your therapist through simple but sometimes challenging processes that teach you to listen to your impulses in your body and learn what's right for you sexually at this point in time. Be on the lookout for the impulsive part of you that wants to greenlight everything. Instead, let your heart and your body guide you to your truth. For even if both strategies lead you to the same-sex act, listening to your heart and your body will bring you there with a free and fully conscious intention. As you travel this road, keep an open mind and remove all restrictions, all of the shoulds from your conversation. Be courageous in your rigorous honesty with yourself. Remember, this plan discovers your deepest, truest desires, finding them as a process. So change and growth go with the territory as you work through the book. Most of all, be creative, play, and have fun. Alexandra Katehakis. So those two resources are just things that are really good to look up if you are moving into that realm of healthy sexuality in your recovery, and can certainly be helpful to everybody. Now, the next book that I found a real surprise, and I wouldn't call this a sex addiction recovery book, but it certainly addresses the difficulty we have talking about sexuality. And this next book is The Great Sex Rescue by Sheila, Wray, Gregorie. Now, I listened to this book, and it was a book I wish someone gave me when I was 15. It talked about the female body, the male body, and what turns us on, what turns a woman on, what needs to be focused on, what a man needs to focus on. It undoes a lot of the myths and challenges, and best of all, it's a Christian book. It's written from a Christian perspective, and it's very challenging against all of the misleading literature that especially harmed women and put them in all sorts of obedient regimes that have been less than useful. I really loved it. It made me just want to keep listening. I bought the hard copy because there's lots of graphs and diagrams. It's very statistically driven, and it is written by not just Sheila but her daughter and Joanne Sorwowski. So I hope I've got that right. But her daughter was Rebecca Gregorie Lindenbach, and I just think it is such an open, wonderful discussion with just this honest feel about it. And the other, it reminded me that the other night, my wife and I sat in this room right behind us and on the big screen, tuned in with a lot of families of our 10-year-old in his form at school, and they had a where do we come from and male and female bodies, and that just stuff didn't exist. I'm 57 years old, and that didn't exist in my childhood. So to be able to, I know the world is moving on, and hopefully our kids will not get more of that healthier, open discussion around sex. But the other thing that goes with a culture that talks more about sex is that misleading information, pornography, sexting is also much more available to young people. So the idea that we might need a great sex rescue, I think, is not just for this time, but as we move forward. And if you are a Christian couple, or she certainly in the book writes about, the tools could be useful for anyone. But if you're certainly a Christian couple and you're in a sexless marriage, a struggling marriage, or there's been the impact of, infidelity or sex addiction or porn or something in your life, then as you've gone through again, establishing recovery, rebuilding trust and vulnerability, then The Great Sex Rescue is just one of those wonderful books that you can just get a deeper understanding of what might be getting in the way of you really opening up and enjoying and being with each other. Then she wrote this, 31 days, I can never get this right, 31 days to great sex, love, friendship and fun for married couples. Now I've just started working through this, and I'm going to sort of read it with Jen, and man, I just wish this sort of information was just around when I was a young man. When I was 15 years old, I was working as a boilermaker apprentice, and every bathroom stall was full of hardcore pornography, and no one talked about it. And it was none of that in my home. My dad didn't even have one of those calendars with a bikini or a topless woman on it at home. It was shocking to me, but there was no one to talk to about it. And not that, like if I look at the back of this, it says, and I probably should have read the back of The Great Sex Rescue, and I will, because it's my video, and if you've got this far, you'll put up with me. On the back of the Great Sex Rescue, she says, what if the way Christians talk about sex actually makes it worse? Based on the groundbreaking in-depth survey of over 20,000 women, the Great Sex Rescue pulls back the curtain on what is happening in Christian bedrooms and exposes the problematic evangelical teachings that wreck sex for so many couples, while pointing couples to what they should have been told all along. Experience the relief of knowing that you are not broken. Elusive pleasure, mismatched desires, perpetual sexual temptation, that doesn't need to be your story any longer. The Great Sex Rescue is a long overdue corrective to church culture, helping couples awaken the kind of intimacy and passion that God intended. Now, that message in the 31 days to great sex comes with like a day-to-day manual, and it certainly talks about in-depth physiological and sexual things that we can do with each other. But I love nearly the, I was looking before, the quick kissing tips, and just knowing what to and what not to do. Breath mints are your best friend. I mean, it's just useful, and how to delight in and learn to be sensual before we're sexual. And I think that's the main message I really get out of this, is to be playful and have fun, and that we're made for pleasure. As a Christian person, God made us for pleasure. The clitoris is the only organ that has no other function except to cause us pleasure. We are multitaskers with our sexual organs as a man, but again, we're made for pleasure, and we're also, with our attachment system, made to connect. And so a lot of those myths about we're not meant to enjoy it and we're not really made to connect are wrong. And this book takes you through very practical ways to connect. And it says on the back, don't miss out on the amazing sex life God designed for your marriage. This practical book provides 31 days of challenges to help you and your spouse talk, flirt, and explore all three levels of sexual intimacy: physical, emotional, and spiritual, so you both can experience the best sex ever. Look forward to lots of laughter and enjoyment as sex stops being a source of tension and becomes something fun that brings you together, just the way God intended. The challenges build on each other to help you ignite your spouse's libido and your own, discover which little changes bring big rewards, hit the reset button on your sex life, debunk Hollywood myths about sex, identify your key to sexual breakthroughs, spice things up and try new things, and keep the momentum going. So you're meant to have an abundant marriage, so don't settle for mediocre. Start your 31-day journey now. So Sheila has got an incredible presence online. So has Alex. I mean, these books are just the start. Both have great podcasts and provide excellent information. So I hope today, with all the videos I do on betrayal and sexual trauma and sex addiction, that this is a bit of a lighthouse, and maybe the candle that was put in these pictures just for that reason is that it's a lighthouse that if we do suffer and are impacted by the world and sex addiction, that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that healthy sexuality can be regained as a single person, and certainly regained in a marriage that's been damaged by betrayal. So I hope this has been useful. Day 25, MOvember, we're getting close to the end. Be gentle with your heart, and I really look forward to tomorrow's video.